I got a good one for you guys today. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't, but I will say that odds are what I'm about to share with you is probably going to come as no surprise, and that is Ford's profits getting eaten up by EVs. The same EVs that Ford is struggling to sell, the same EVs that Ford is recommending that these dealerships try to coerce people into renting because they don't want to buy them. And just the thought of, I remember one of the comments that I got, and they said that they were able to pick up a Mach-E for like 20 grand, is just a true testament to how unappealing buying a new one would be for anybody, realizing just how rapidly depreciating this liability really is. But we're gonna stick to this one for today. And it says, look, I don't want to see Ford crash. I don't want to see Ford go bankrupt. I don't want to see any of this happen. I don't think that there's a manufacturer out there that I would like to see that happen to. I would like to see pricing come back to normal. I would like to feel like, you know, we're getting our money's worth. I would like to be able to go buy a cool new car without having to pay an additional crazy markup or get on some wait list or beg for an allocation and then pay through the nose for it. Yeah, I would like that. This reminds me of my Honda days where I dreaded owning a DC2 Type R. I dreaded owning a swapped EJ Civic. I dreaded owning these cars because I knew that they were at high risk of being stolen. So it removed the enjoyment, and it almost kind of kills the vibe of the culture of the scene. And I gotta say, like, this is an equally depressing state that we're in right now, where I see cool cars, I know that they could possibly exist or may be coming, but I also know that ownership is just really just not an option. I literally am kicking myself for not having bought a 991.2 GT3 when I could have for a reasonable price, and now seeing what the prices are today. And you know, this isn't the only one. I kicked myself for getting rid of my Camaro ZL1. I kicked myself for getting rid of a lot of the cars that I ran through on a list on a previous video, just because now it's not as far as like car ownership and real estate and home prices and the egregious state that we're in inflation. But when we get to the car market and the games that the dealers play and the add-ons that they try to tack on to the cool cars, that's where things really kind of like, they kind of come full circle and hit home. Whereas, you know, if you wanted to buy something, I mean, theoretically, you should be able to go buy something that's not cool and not have to pay extra for it. But they're gonna try anyway. They're gonna try anyway. But you know, when the C7 Z06, like, so when the C7 Z06 came out, I went and bought a ZL1 Camaro. It wasn't a big deal, but even if I wanted a C7 Z06, I think it was like about 10 grand more, if I can remember. It was like about 10 grand more to get a Z06 instead of a ZL1. And it wasn't so much the cost savings, it was, one, the loudness of the whine of the supercharger in the ZL1, the Alpha platform chassis of the ZL1, the 6-speed opposed to the 7-speed in the ZL1, and the fact that it had a back seat. So it wasn't a big deal. But then today, if you wanted to go buy a C8, you know, when the C8 came out, if you want to try to go get a C8 Z06, it's like, it's not even the same ballpark. You know, it's not even fun or feasible anymore. I mean, these American supercars are now almost to the point of hypercar territory, where only the richest of rich can afford to buy them, maybe are dumb enough to pay that money for them, and definitely won't drive them. But I digress. Ford's profits getting eaten up by EVs. Ford lost about $4.7 billion on EVs last year and projects losses in the range of the $5 billion to $5.5 billion range this year. Now this headline is it's interesting, and this video is already starting to be a little bit longer than I expected it to be, so I'm not gonna read this article, but I will tell you a story. I will tell you how I feel, or at least how it made me feel. And one, it makes me think, well, if this, then that, right? So if Ford is already bleeding chips and losing a lot of money in this EV disaster, right? What are they going to do? Well, they're not going to scrap it. They can't. That would be too costly for a variety of reasons. So they're going to have to continue on. They're going to have to press on. Well, they can't continue to just be in the red and lose all this money, right? So they'll have to make it up somewhere. Okay, well, where have we seen this happen before? We see it happen all the time. Costco, for example. Costco has, and many other stores have, what's called a loss leader. And the loss leader is to pull you in so that you can enter into the store to then potentially buy something else that has far more profit. So maybe Ford will use these failing EVs that are costing them more money to make than than to sell. These are we're going to call these the Veyrons, the Bugatti Veyrons of Ford, because supposedly Bugatti didn't make any money on a Veyron. Oh no, maybe it wasn't the Veyron. Maybe it was the Toyota LFA, which really should have been called a Supra, not what we have. But either way, the LFA supposedly didn't make any money. And there's a few cars out there that these manufacturers claim they were not profitable. But maybe they could be a loss leader. In what way? Well, you're not going to go in and buy an EV that causes Ford to lose money to then also say, you know what, let me buy something else that Ford makes money off of. You're not going to do that. So where are they going to make up their money? They're going to make up their money in service. They're going to make up their money in, quite possibly, maybe the future adoptance of subscription-based features that will be applied to the vehicle, much like BMW has introduced already. Maybe a few other manufacturers are introducing this. And now in Tesla, you'll have to pay per month to have features. You remember, you used to have to spec a car. You used to have to, get a car if you wanted power windows, and if you wanted heated seats, or if you wanted, heads up, or, adaptive cruise, or adjustable headlights, or four-wheel steering. But now all these features will be built in. They'll be coded in. And if you want to use them, you'll have to pay a subscription, which eventually at some point will come to the point of, oh, you can bundle it. They'll have bundles. And when you're tired of paying it, you call to cancel. That'll be a hassle. That'll be a headache. But then when you call to cancel, they'll reduce the rate if you just won't cancel it. And you'll have to play this game to keep the features of your car working. For instance, I could see them charging a monthly subscription if you want AM radio, which is ridiculous to say, but it could happen. So they're going to use this as a loss leader to get their profit back somehow, some way. And the other way that they could do this is by, unfortunately, making their other vehicles that are far more desirable more expensive to compensate and offset the loss. At the end of the day, the bottom line on the balance sheet is what matters most. And if you lose, a few $1,000s on every EV, but you're making, several more $1,000s on every other ICE, then at the end of the day, the bean counters in the back, the accountants should be okay with that. That's a possibility. But I see it being a big problem. And this also reminds me of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, and Meta's situation right now with the billions and billions and billions of dollars that is being lost in this virtual reality, AR, augmented reality world in the Meta, that he's already, told shareholders and, his most recent earnings call, hey, we're losing a shitload of money and we're going to keep losing a shitload of money. So just know we're going to keep losing a lot of money. But these companies like these, now Facebook is in no dire straits or in jeopardy of being bankrupt, but Ford, they're not going to fail. Ford can't fail, period. There will never be a point in time in human history, I feel extremely confident in saying, that Ford will fail. And America won't let Ford fail. The government won't let Ford fail. The Illuminati won't let Ford fail. So, no matter how bad it gets, we will, you and I, all of us, will be paying for this somehow, some way, some shape or form. So, I guess the bright side, the silver lining is that, all right, well, maybe if that's the case, please don't make me pay for it and make me drive a Mach-E, because that would just be a terrible fate. But I don't really have like a hard-on for the Ford Lightning, but you know, I could see myself possibly considering. I've never seen a Rivian, really. We were in Nashville, Tennessee, and they had a Rivian store and off Broadway. I probably should have went in there and checked it out. But my real gripe with Ford, you know, the Cybertruck, man, you know, I would entertain it, but again, I want range. I want range, and I want reliability, and I want a value, okay? But honestly, my biggest gripe with Ford and the Lightning is the Mach-E. Like, I don't really care that they called it a Mustang, you know, because they added Mach-E. But the fact that they called a Ford Lightning, an F-150 Lightning, a F-150 Lightning, when you and I both know what an F-150 Lightning was, and then Ford came out with a supercharged V8 F-150, like, what should have been a Lightning, that just doesn't make any sense to me. That blows my mind. I'm not sure who's making these calls and decisions at Ford, but perhaps maybe they should really reconsider before it's too late. But also they realize that they can do no wrong, and it is what it is. They can go on strike for several weeks. They can lose billions. They can agree to pay more to the union workers without having any reasonable recourse of recouping that money. They can lose billions and billions of dollars on this EV program. Everything is pointing in a terrible direction, going downhill, but it doesn't matter because Ford can't fail. I don't think it's possible.